particularly poignant that we're honoring Tunnels to Tower CEO, Chairman Frank Siller this year, especially because we gathered here a short time ago to commemorate the 20th anniversary of that day. On September the 11th, 2001, FDNY firefighter Steven Siller had left his firehouse, Squad 1 in Brooklyn, to play golf with his brothers. As his brother Frank would later recall, he heard on the radio scanner that the towers were hit. So what do firefighters do? What they've done since the inception. They run toward the flames and danger. That's in their DNA. Stephen strapped on 60 pounds of fire gear and ran almost 2 miles through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to the burning towers. Tragically, the father of 5 never made it home that day. He was one of 343 FDNY members who died rescuing others. And the boat that was out in the harbor today was boat 343 of the FDNY. In memory of Stephen's service and sacrifice, Frank Siller and his family established the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Since its founding, Tunnels to Towers raised over $250 million to provide first responders and Gold Star families with mortgage-free homes. They also pay off the mortgages, assist generously wounded veterans with efforts to retrofit their homes. This summer, Frank commemorated the 20th anniversary of 9/11 with the Never Forget Walk. He finally made it back, trekking 537 miles from D.C. to Ground Zero. It is now my distinct honor to ask Tunnels to Tower CEO Frank Siller to come forward and accept the 2021 Genesee Legacy Medal.
Thank you, Rich. It is such an honor to be here, to have this on me, to be amongst so many heroes and their family members. It's incredible. You know, my brother was a hero, no question about it. He was, thank you. Think about what he did, and you know, Rich said that what do firefighters do? They run towards danger all the time. Well, this is what our military does every single day since our inception of our country. That gave us this. I mean, to be in these halls, to be where General Washington was here with his subordinates, to think what happened here on this ground. It's only fitting that you heroes are here participating in this event today. You know, so you heard my brother was on his way home to play golf with myself and my other 2 brothers, and he heard on his radio scanner that the towers were hit. So he turned his truck around and drove through that and got to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel where it was closed. So he strapped the 60 pounds of gear on his back. Now, I just went through that tunnel the other day. When I came through that tunnel, I looked up at the Freedom Tower. When he came through that tunnel, he saw hell on earth. He saw 2 buildings on fire. And think about the poor souls that are above the fire line with the 2 planes that flew. Think about that. Think of the choice they had, because they weren't going to get down. They couldn't. So it was either burn or jump. And I hate to say it, but it has to be said, right? The truth always has to be said. On any conflict or any situation, the truth always has to be said. And so my brother comes out of the tunnel. He goes up West Street, and this is what he sees. And he was last seen alive on Liberty and West Street, Liberty. Liberty, right? Think of that. And then he goes in the tower and gives up his life, leaving behind a wife, 5 beautiful children. He was the youngest of 7 siblings. He was our little brother, our little miracle. My father was 49. My mother was 44 when he was born. My brother Russ was 25 years older than him. So, and then my parents died when he was a little boy. By age 10, he was orphaned, and we raised him, but primarily by my oldest brother Russ. But we all played an integral part of his childhood, and moves back to Staten Island. He lived in Rockville Center. Anybody from around here? Okay. Well, it's not too far away from here, Rockville Center. And then I lived, and we all grew up on Staten Island, and moved back to Staten Island with me when he was 18 years old, and worked with me for many years. Actually worked with me in the business I was in from when he was 15 years old till the day he died. As a matter of fact, the day before we met and we were making plans. You know, he was a firefighter already, but a firefighter has to do another job, especially with 5 kids, right? So we were making plans. We went to lunch. And we got up after lunch, I hugged him and I said, love you, see you tomorrow, brother. We don't know what tomorrow brings, as he found out. But he lived life, oh my God, he lived it to the fullest. He was an outrageous human being. So when he died, and we found out what he did as a family, that he ran through that tunnel, we said, you know what, we have to do something to honor him. First, we wanted to make sure that we didn't forget what happened on 9/11, but we wanted to honor him. And we honor him by doing good. For 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, we didn't know exactly what we were going to do as a foundation. And as time went on, God put us on a path that we couldn't say no to, if we're who we say we are. We could not say no to it. The first quadruple amputee that ever survived any war was from Staten Island, where Stephen was born, where I live. Quadruple amputee. Sergeant Brendan Morocco. And I went down to visit him with a group of us from the foundation. And when I was down there, I said to him, Brendan, can the Tunnel to Towers Foundation build you a smart home and give you back some of your independence? This is quadruple amputee. And he said to me, Frank, I don't know where I'm going to live. I said, Brendan, I don't care. We'll build it for you no matter where you want to live. And he said, anywhere? I said, yes, anywhere. He goes, even Hawaii? And I said, yes, if you want to go to Hawaii, we'll build it for you in Hawaii. Anyway, he comes back to Staten Island, we'll build it. 2 more quadruple amputees while we're building the house. Oh, by the way, we got John Ponte here today. John is U.S. Navy retired, right? Veteran, all right, veteran. John starts showing up every day when we're building this house for Brendan Morocco. John has a smart home technology business. So every day he was showing up and he said to me, Frank, I think we should put this in the house. Let's put these cabinets that lower and the kitchen stove that lowers, so when they're in their wheelchair, they make something for themselves. They don't have to ask somebody to get something out of the cabinet. I said, put it in, John. He comes back like a week later. Frank, I think we have to put these inside in the concrete. We have to have these heated pads because, you know, we live here in the Northeast, the ice. He can't navigate the ice. Put it in, John. Next week, he says, Frank, in these bathrooms, we have to do these bathrooms. I said, put it in, John. I said, you know what? You are now project manager. By the way, he's in charge of building over 100 of these smart homes all over the country. Listen. So God put us on that path. We didn't know we were going to be doing that as a foundation. We had no idea we were going to be doing it. A few years later, detectives Lou and Ramos, they were assassinated here in New York, in Brooklyn, just because they were police officers. Some crazy person came up out of Baltimore and thought it'd be all right to shoot 2 cops just because they were cops. On December 20th, 2014, a couple days later, myself and the Honorable Rudy Giuliani and John Houvain, who works also for the foundation now, we went to visit these 2 families. When I was there, we said to them, we'd like to pay off your mortgages. We'd like to, because they were worried. We heard they were worried about how they're going to stay in their homes. They just lost their loved one, had kids. How are they going to stay in their home? we went there and we said, we'd like to pay off your mortgage. In 10 days, we raised enough money not only to pay off their mortgage, but to renovate their homes. And so it put us on a path. Now, between that and Gold Star Families, I'm sitting with 3 beautiful women with these wonderful white jackets on, blazers on, and we're talking about their loss. 3 Gold Star parents, mothers, and my heart bleeds for you. I know the sacrifice that your family made, because when somebody serves, and I'm speaking to the choir here, right? Preaching to the choir. When somebody serves, the whole family serves. You know that firsthand, and speaking to them. But so now we're doing for smart homes. We're doing for fallen first responders that die in the line of duty, that leave young families behind. We better do it for Gold Star families. So to date, we have now delivered 450 mortgage-free homes to these great families that are left behind. I shouldn't say to date. By the end of this year, we'll have delivered 450. 50 of them we're doing next week, because we just had the annual Tunnel to Towers run in New York City, where we had over 30,000 people run through the tunnel, many with firefighters with the gear on, to retrace my brother's final heroic footsteps. We raised a lot of money this past weekend. We don't sit on the money. We spend it as soon as we get it, because there is such a need out there. I walked the 537 miles. Am I going too long? Okay. He said 5 to 7. I thought, yeah, 5 to 7. It's only 2:30, right? So we're doing. There's such a need out there, and we had an unbelievable weekend. Over 32,000 people running through that tunnel, retracing my brother's footsteps. Firefighters, police officers from all over, military personnel. We had this one sniper there. He was missing a couple limbs, and I know he could kill me from a couple miles away. So we got the best of America. We really have the best of America in this room for sure, and at the run. We have people who love America. It's incredible. But I was on a small journey. I walked. As Rich said, I walked from the Pentagon to Shanksville to Ground Zero, 537 miles. I wanted to do something special to honor my brother for the 20th year. And I wanted to make sure that we shed some light on what happened 20 years ago that we never forget. And we were very successful. We raised a lot of money on this walk. It wasn't the main purpose. It was for me to honor my brother. But while doing so, when you do the right thing, somehow or another, it works, and we become very effective on making sure we raise enough revenues to pay off all these mortgages or build these homes. So now we're going to be able to do, because of that, we're going to pay off 50 mortgages next week, or 23 Gold Stars, 17 fallen first responders, and some that we just made an announcement with for first responders who have died on 9/11 illnesses, because they keep on dying, right? These are the forgotten people. They keep on dying. There's funerals almost every week here in New York for these firefighters and cops that keep on dying. We're on the pile looking for my brother, for their friends, for their co-workers, for people's mothers and fathers. They were going down. They were told it was okay, that the air was okay, but it wasn't. And these great heroes keep on dying. Their family members are seeing the loved ones fade away right in front of them. So we're proud that we made an announcement this year. Now we're going to take care of those families. So there's another 10 or 12 of those that we're doing right away. And there's a couple of hundred of them that we have to do. So the need is tremendous. But I want to let you know that when I went through this journey, it was so emotional. When I was at the Pentagon, and we knelt down and said a prayer at the Pentagon and laid a wreath with my family, it was incredibly emotional. When I went to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and I knelt down with a lot of New York City firefighters, and we put our hand on the boulder where the crash site was, where the impact zone is. I don't know if any of you have ever been there to Shanksville. I say you should go. You should go to Pentagon. Go to these grounds where these memorials are. They're just unbelievable. But I'm once again telling people that know all about sacrifice. And we said a prayer. We said the Lord's Prayer there, and our emotions were gushing out. And by the way, I had New York City firefighters, and I had a team, some of which are here today, with me every single day, and they made it very easy for me. I had an RV that was donated by Mark Wahlberg. I had New York City firefighters cooking for me every day, cooking for me every single day. I would walk 8 or 9 miles, and then by the time I was finished the 8 or 9 miles, they'd have this beautiful tent set up. I'd sit down. They had pancakes for me. They had waffles, sausage, bacon, you name it, right? And then I'd go out. I'd go out later in the day and finish how many miles I was going to walk. I was doing anywhere from about 15 miles a day, and they'd have 5 o'clock every day. They'd have dinner ready for me. But I got to tell you the truth. I was the only person that walked 537 miles and put weight on. These New York City firefighters know how to cook. I'm going to tell you that right now. But it wasn't even difficult, because I was thinking of all these great souls that make the sacrifice for our country every single day. How could I complain with a couple blisters on my toes or whatever it may be? I couldn't complain. It wasn't hard. It really wasn't difficult. It was emotional. It was so emotional. And then I finished on 9/11 going through the same tunnel that my brother went through and walking through there. Yes, I had sneakers on. He had his gear on. I'm not comparing by any means, but I just wanted to honor him. I just wanted to honor what he did. And I want to honor you. I want to honor you, and I want to honor every single military personnel that protects our country for the rest of my life that I am alive, and as long as the foundation is alive. And I want to make sure we honor every firefighter and every police officer in this country. And if I see somebody spit on the ground where a police officer is, they could kiss my ass. We better protect and recognize without them, we don't have a society, we don't have a country without them. And I know, once again, I'm preaching to people that understand all this, because you've made such a sacrifice. Families made the ultimate sacrifice. So I understand that. So here, I'm going to end with this, and this is a promise from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. 450 homes, it sounds great, and we're proud of it. We're very proud of it. But you know what? If I had enough revenue right now to do 450 more, we could do it. That's the need that's out there. And if I had more money to do another 450 right after that, I could do it, because that's the need that's out there. So we know the need is always going to be there, because they're going to be great heroes like yourself that are willing to put your life on the line for everybody here and for myself every single day. We know that with police officers and with firefighters. And all too often, you give up your lives. All too often. So the foundation, the need is always going to be there, and therefore we're making a promise that the Tunnel to Towers Foundation is going to take care of every Gold Star family that dies in the line of duty, obviously, that leave a young family behind. We're going to take care of every police officer and firefighter that dies in the line of duty that leaves young children behind. And we're going to take care of every catastrophically injured service member that's given their bodies for our country forever. And that is our promise. Thank you for having me here today, and God bless you, and God bless America.
You know, when we select honorees, it's probably one of the most important things we do, because our mission to honor all of you Purple Heart recipients, to give this Genesis medal to someone, it's got to be someone incredibly special, someone incredibly unique. And you all just got to hear firsthand how amazing the work that the Siller family, the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, and Frank at the helm of that organization does on our behalf, on our nation's behalf, and on behalf of all our heroes. So Frank, from the bottom of all our hearts, we're so thankful for what you do. And I told you earlier that it really makes me angry that we need you, that our country doesn't automatically do this for every one of these people. You know, we do a lot for a lot of people, but somehow we all have the ethos, you never leave someone behind. We never leave someone on the battlefield. We take care of each other, take care of our own. And thank God we have guys like Frank Siller and the Tunnels to Towers Foundation that lives every day by that same ethos.